Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Teleislas news with the most important news of the day. Nicaragua presented its final arguments on Colombia's intervention on Wednesday morning in the International Court of Justice in Hague. Its defense remains firm that Colombia has not complied with the decision of the court in the Hague ruling by not allowing its movement in the maritime area that was granted to them.
The Central America country argues that Colombia has disregarded the decision of the International Court of Justice in November 2012. And despite the fact that Colombia has stated that they have not violated their sovereignty rights and that they have only watched over the protection of the life in the sea, Nicaragua argues that by not allowing the transit and by not ceasing surveillance by the National Navy in the sea, it is violating the Hague decision.
Mr. Bundy admitted that Colombia's naval vessels were exercising police powers in what was indisputably Nicaragua's waters under the court's 2012 judgment.
The neighboring country and its final arguments on the previous occasion also states that Colombia's statements are inconsistent with the recorded conversation that Nicaragua has via radio. They also respond that to what our country stated on Wednesday, and that is, there is no evidence that traditional fishing in the archipelago has not been negatively impacted. To which Nicaragua responds that in that sense there could be no evidence that traditional artisanal fishing in the island has been impacted.
The same may be said about Colombia's claims before this court. For the reasons we've explained, there is no evidence to maintain that the traditional fishing banks were impacted by the 2012 judgment.
In general, the country's intervention revolves around the claims issue. Colombia has violated Nicaragua's sovereignty rights over the maritime area in the sea since the Hague's ruling in 2012.
In the morning, we had the installation of the ordinary sessions that were held in the Duma, which aims to approve projects that benefit the archipelago.
With these words, the governor of the archipelago started the ordinary sessions where the deputies will begin to present projects that generate positive impacts on the islands. The president of the Duma, Escorzo Christopher, announced the duration of the sessions.
Y buscaremos conjuntamente entre la Asamblea Departamental y Gobierno jalonar al mismo.
We will seek jointly between the Departmental Assembly and the government to pull on the same side and to be able to pull on the social and economic development of the archipelago. In this way, I declare formally installed this third period of ordinary sessions for the 2021 term.
Ordinary session, we have 2 months, October and November, and we have 24 days left for extras. One of the most important projects is the budget for the department, and the governor have a special day by law where he is going to present it. And we have the Emancipation Week that's going to third debate. And we have this week and next week where the deputy will be presenting the project and also the administration. This last days is mostly to work on addition and work on budget for next year. So we have two months and a few days where the government and the assembly will be working very hard to coordinate everything that we need for next year and to finish this year.
Starting next week, the deputies will meet to present and study projects to be implemented in these last months of the year.
With encouraging figures, the manager of the Nueva EPS in San Andres delivered a report of the progress made in the vaccination goals of its affiliates against COVID-19.
The manager of the Nueva EPS in San Andres, Michael Manuel, calls on its users to complete their vaccination schedule against COVID-19, and at the same time, he delivered a report corresponding to the total number of affiliates vaccinated with first and second doses in San Andres.
The vaccination coverage at the moment, as of September, we have a total of 19,300 vaccinated, with the first dose for a total of 63% of coverage of our affiliated population and 29% of second doses. we are talking about 8,700 members already vaccinated with second doses.
The manager of the nueva stressed the importance of applying the vaccine to those who have not yet done so.
And a population susceptible to vaccination of about 30,000, we have the goal for the month of October of at least reaching 70% of vaccination of first doses.
It is worth reminding the members of the nueva that they can access more information on the points of access to vaccine through the various service channels provided by the entity.
Today, the Council for the Participation of People with Disabilities delivered some supplies to this community in the department. Alice Medina from this point of the island tells us how was the delivery.
Say hello from here from the Coral Palace because right now the presidency is giving some supplies to the disabled community of our department. We talked to the advisor of disabled people of the presidency who told us about this important event.
It is a pleasure for me to be in the archipelago accompanying this type of processes in the communities for the implementation of the public policy on disability. We are working for greater inclusion and to guarantee the rights of people with disabilities, to improve their quality of life, and also to guarantee a reactivation with inclusion. Today we are delivering wheelchairs, equipment, and materials for comprehensive rehabilitation that allows many people to reintegrate to their activities and ensure a better quality of life for themselves and their families, as well as working for the economic recovery of our country.
And following with that, with an active participation of the elderly, activities were developed in the residence for the elderly in San Andres, San Pedro Claver Old Folks Home, all in commemoration of the International Day of the Elderly.
As a recognition to the centenarians of the nursing home, activities were developed in which the elderly actively participated. Stories, poems, riddles, recreational activities, among others, brighten up the morning of 35 elderly president of the home. Melissa Taylor Margaret Henry gave a summary of the morning's activity.
The Secretariat of Social Development accompanies the San Pedro Claver Senior Center because we are commemorating the International Day of the Elderly. Therefore, we want to highlight the elderly people who are really a treasure with their wisdom, and their teaching are always valuable. We are carrying out activities with our grandparents, 35 of them in total, who are accompanying us today, who are staying with us. Therefore, throughout poems, songs, karaoke, raffles, with the intention to make them feel supported on this day and see the appreciation and care we have for them.
The elderly enjoyed a fresh space full of recreation.
Sena's bootcamp is back, and with a week of specialized learning that will allow you to master the programming of applications.
From October 4th till the 8th, Sena San Andres will hold the first programming bootcamp aimed at the population of San Andres and the municipality of Providence with the purpose of learning the programming language, which according to the regional director of the training center, Lorena Aldana, is a skill request in an important number of job profiles.
El primero que vamos a hacer tiene que ver con Python.
The first one we are going to do has to do with Python, a very interesting programming language that can be used in different applications and different corporate practices. We want to invite people to sign up through the links enabled on our fan page, Sena San Andres.
Aldana indicated that due to the compliance with the biosecurity protocols within the framework of the pandemic, there are 60 places available of each of the islands. She also referred to the profile of those interested in accessing the programs.
No se necesitan conocimientos previos porque
you don't need previous knowledge because part of the process is effectively to master the programming language. So we want you not to be scared, not to be intimidated by technology, and that you can come and share this week with us and acquire that knowledge for the strengthening of your job profile.
The Learning Week will count on the participation of programming experts responsible for imparting the trainees the knowledge of the subject. This session will be held from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 2 to 6 p.m.
A meeting was held in this morning with members of the business sector to learn about their difficulties in terms of import processes.
With the purpose of addressing the different problems that importers of the island have today and taking into account the latest developments presented by several of the companies that carry out this type of commercial process, a follow-up and management meeting was held today with the participation of the Departmental Secretary of Health and the Secretary of Finance to address difficulties related to the procedures within BIMA and the needs and opportunities that the special regime of the Free Port of San Andres entails.
It is an important meeting where the different problems of importers in the department were shared with respect to the current regulations in this area and the competencies that the Health Secretariat has in this regard. The most important conclusions have to do with the fact that we were able to clarify the doubts and we were able to bring to the table the different concerns.
The Chamber of Commerce informed about their participation during this process and the agreements reached with the businessmen.
We have had a very important discussion where importers have expressed all their concerns regarding delays and adjustments in paperwork issues. Undoubtedly, the only way to energize is with the joint work with importers and staff working at the dock and even with us as a Chamber of Commerce.
The representative to the Chamber for the Department, Elizabeth J. Pang, speak about the importance of continuing to work to boost the economy on the island.
The most important thing is to follow the note that was outlined when we were in pandemic, to seek a strategy to move forward with all the economic situation that the department is going through. Commerce is part of this reactivation since they are one of our sources of employment, and we need to continue modernizing the free port.
It should be noted that this meeting was held due to the difficulties expressed by importers who, despite the issuance of Presidential Decree 1549 of 2020 to reactivate through the amendment of Law 915 of 2004 the economy of the island, increasing the number of products of the same species that can be sent to the interior of the country throughout postal mail and promoting electronic commerce, continuing to face difficulties when making sales to the interior of the country with the seizure of products.
Now let's learn about other facts that are news today in our briefings.
The Coralina Enviromental Corporation is conducting an awareness campaign with the inhabitants living near the Old Prime Mangrove Park in order to learn about the socio-economic conditions of these families in the area and provide them with information pertinent about the importance of preserving the mangroves and being overseers of the care of the area surrounding the park. The governor of the department, as well as the Secretary of Mobility, met with leaders of the Taxi Drivers Union to discuss the establishment of the two-way traffic on Costa Rica Avenue, to study the design of the speed reducer installed at the height of Manawar Park, as well as a study for the increase in the value of public transport fares. These requests will be studied by the competent authorities in the offices of the Coral Palace.